Hello, Hillary. Thank you so much for joining us today for our interview today that we're going to do about your ayahuasca experience.
Thank you for inviting me, Mike. It's really great to see you again, for sure.
Great to see you. So, for those that are watching this, Hillary has been to some of my retreats. How many has it been?
4.
So, she's been to 4 of my retreats, and this is an interview for her to share her testimony, a little bit about her experience, not only with Yahe, but also with Taita Pedro. And these are for whoever is watching, for you to understand the different types of people that can come to these type of experiences, to want to seek out the healing that Yahe offers, and for you to find some connection in these different types of testimonies, because these are going to have all sorts of different people for you to watch. But this is just an authentic. Me and Hillary did not plan what we're going to say. This is a very organic thing that we're just going to go through to provide this service to whoever is watching it. So we're going to go ahead and begin. And Hillary, my first question for you is, what brought you to wanting to try ayahuasca?
Oh, curiosity. Honestly, I knew I'd heard of ayahuasca for a number of years and became very curious about it. And then I ended up having a connection that put me in touch with you, and it just happened. It fell into place, and I was able to come um, explore what the medicine was all about.
Hmm, beautiful. And that curiosity, could you tell me a little bit about what that curiosity really was?
That curiosity was, I had heard about other people's healing journeys and, things that they were able to process, that the medicine helped them process. And then it can really be a form of therapy. And I thought, I'd been going to therapy for a number of years, and I thought maybe this might be a nice addition to that healing process, and learning more about myself, actually, in that inward journey.
Hmm. And was there anything kind of on the specific side of things that you were looking for healing in?
Um, you know, I I wasn't. I really didn't want to. Um, I tried to come in with no expectations
Hmm,
so
perfect.
that I would let the medicine lead me where it felt I needed to go. Yeah.
Awesome. And what was your first experience like?
Oh, my first experience was really, I walked away with so much more clarity of who I am as a person, and um, a lot of joy. I felt like I went really deep, and it was only a one night ceremony that time,
Oh, I
actually.
remember.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, and I I went inward, and I experienced um, I experienced sadness like I've never experienced before, and I cried. It was just such a release. I saw my child self.
Mm,
Experiencing this. And then it swung right over to happiness.
mm,
And I remember laughing, um, to nothing in particular. It was just pure joy and happiness that I was feeling. And then moving into, it was an interesting experience. I then moved into more of a place of empathy and, really experiencing other people's journeys that night. And um at times I actually felt like I was walking alongside Taita Pedro
mm,
when he was visiting the different people who, needed, who he was assisting.
mm,
That was and and walking away, I really felt bonded to the people that were there.
mm.
And we all had our own individual journeys, but really felt a special bond walking away, um, from that experience.
Yeah, you felt that. I always say you'll never forget the people that you drank the medicine with the first time, and
Don't.
that feeling and bond that you have between each other is a feeling
Hmm.
that you'll never forget.
Yeah. So true.
And
Yeah.
then,
So
so
that, yeah,
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, I'm just remembering more that um it really was, I learned a lot about myself that night, and how much more of an empath I truly am.
Mm,
But that my, own childhood experiences had caused me to shut it down to
hmm.
protect myself. And so it was this, kind of this opening up, and trying to learn, well, learning more about myself in those moments, and then working with that, walking away from it, working with that, and trying to open myself up more, um, and practice more empathy, and allow that energy, in.
Beautiful. That's very powerful. And that's one thing that is a very common thing. What ayahuasca does is it opens up our heart and it allows us
Mm,
to see ourselves without these traumas or these hard feelings that we're carrying around. It really allows us to open
mhm.
up our heart to feel that empathy and the love, and it's very healing for us to walk away with that opening. And how has your experiences evolved since then? Because you said that you've done about 4 retreats. So maybe take us through
Yeah,
your journey, and kind of tell us about the relationship that you've had with the medicine so far.
sure. So the next two times, I would say, so I think yeah. My first one was in August, or end of July, August, and I came back in September, and then again in November. And it was interesting because those were very different experiences. The September one, actually I didn't feel like I had as much of an inward journey, though I did come out of that feeling lighter.
Hmm.
Um, but those weekends, I ended up purging a lot. Um, and and just trying again, I didn't come in with any expectations, but I had to sit with, well, this is what the medicine feels like I need right now. It's a different sort of release than, and I'm
Hmm.
letting go of something. I'm not sure what that is, in those moments. But walking away, I definitely felt lighter. And then in November, again, I did go inward a bit more. I do remember experiences feeling, I remember my sons coming up for me and experiencing just such a strong, uh, feeling of love for them and fierce protection, and and I think to me it was a reminder of that motherly instinct and that motherly bond that I have with them, and that is such a big part of who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
and and then I just remember that towards the end of the second night, experiencing some bonding experiences with other participants, and um, there was a lot of back and forth and laughter and such that was going on towards the end of the night.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So if I could ask you, like, if you could bundle all them together, just kind of put it into an overall progression or evolution or development of yourself since that Hillary first started the journeys
Mm.
into like now, how could you describe like what has ayahuasca overall done for your life and like who are you now with all those experiences under you?
That's a really great question. And I have to incorporate, I did leave out the fourth experience.
Oh, right. Okay.
Apologies for that. Yeah. So the fourth experience, um, it surprised me actually. After the second and third experiences, I was like, I have no idea. Again, what the medicine is going to bring to me, but
Hmm.
it actually, I feel like the second and third experiences were prepping me for the fourth experience, that allowed me to see that I have been carrying an enormous amount of grief,
Hmm.
for a number of years, that I didn't even realize that I was carrying. And so it started that process of letting it go, recognizing that grief, honoring it, and letting it go. And so I've been working with that since leaving, because it was only just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So in a package, if I were to take all of them, I would say it has been it's gotten me so much further than therapy sessions ever would have, to learn more about who I am as a person. Um, is much more grounding, and recognizing my own strength, and but allowing the emotions, and accepting the emotions that are there.
Mm,
That a lot of times, that grief that I've realized I'm carrying, I never allowed myself to experience.
mm,
Society a lot of times dictates what you're allowed to feel, what you're not allowed, how you're allowed to experience it. And it kept me from experiencing it and really acknowledging it in the moment. And so now I feel so much more freedom to talk about it, to experience it, and let myself sit with it and process it.
yeah, just from working with so many people in this capacity is, and I kind of had an experience like what you had, where I found grief within me that I didn't even know was there, and I kind of
Mm.
learned, and what the medicine taught me was, when we go through something in our life, the modern world doesn't support the releasing of grief. Grief is a
Mhm.
period of time that we must allow ourselves to go through in a process, and a lot of times we don't give ourselves, process. How many times do you hear about somebody losing a family member and they're at work 2 days later, you know
Yeah,
but then
yeah,
an
yeah.
illness an illness comes out 10, 20 years down the road, and they don't know what it is. And what I have kind of learned, and what the medicine showed me, was how when we encompass this grief inside of us, we become
Mm.
fragmented. It's like a piece of a pie gets taken out of the whole pie. And ayahuasca, when it exposes this grief that's there and we're able to heal it, we are able to like plug that fragment back into the wholeness of who we are, and everything just turns back on and runs better.
Mm.
And then when we're aware of the grief, we give it that love and we nurture it in that way, and we allow ourselves to actually feel those emotions. And because grief is very heavy, it
It
can
is.
really, we don't even realize what it's doing to us. It's just like draining our
No,
battery without even knowing that draining chord's there.
so true. So beautifully said. Everything that you just did about the pieces coming together and, healing those fragments. Yeah, that was that really spoke to me. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for
you're
that.
you're very
Yeah.
welcome. Very welcome. I think it's something a lot
Mhm.
of people can relate to, because we all have had grief, and people are experiencing
Mhm.
grief all the time. They don't know how to express it, they don't know what to do with it. And there's all these different modalities in the world that help you with grief. But ayahuasca truly makes you feel to heal. And it is the
Mhm.
fast track and the truest way to healing grief, very specifically. So
Mm.
it's definitely something I think a lot of people are going to relate to. So coming out of all that, Hillary, if you were talking to, and I think you recommended a few friends, right, to come and try it, if I'm
I
not
have.
mistaken.
I
So what
have.
is?
Yeah.
Yep. Please continue.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is
What's the
there a
question?
message that you had to someone, like, if you were talking back to that self of yours, that maybe you went through a period of time where you were like iffy, I don't know if I should, I don't know if this is right for me. I don't know if you
Mhm.
went through that, but a lot of people do. Let's say the indecisive, maybe if you were a little indecisive about it, would you kind of, what would be a message that you had to that part of that, maybe that you a year ago before you tried this?
I think, yeah, I would summarize everything I just shared with you is the amount of healing that happens. That number one is so worth it, but also that inward journey that it allows you to take to learn more about yourself. I think is also um, is also really important. Yeah, I recommended. It's really funny because I've recommended parents of their, because they have kids who are struggling, you know, and
Mhm.
they're more adult, you know, 18 and over, but they're struggling with various traumas or
Yeah.
um that, you know, they're just like, we just don't know what to do, you know.
Mhm.
Then, and therapy hasn't been working. They've been trying to find somebody, and their children just haven't clicked with anybody. And so I've offered this as an option for them, and they've taken it up on, you know, they've gone ahead and participated in ceremony,
Mm.
and they've actually found it quite rewarding, in the fact that it's helped that healing process. I
Mm.
know one in particular that child came. Okay, I can. They're 18, you know, or older, but I'm referring to them as children. But the child came back really having had such a positive experience, and felt like they had released a lot, and been able to let go of some of that trauma. And again, it's the starting of the healing process. You don't go
Mhm.
in, and it doesn't just, you know, heal everything in that weekend. It allows you to go inward and start that healing process. Then you have to work with it afterwards. But
Yes.
they've been great stories.
Yes, absolutely. The key is to
Mhm.
know that when you leave ceremony, it's just beginning.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
work is just beginning. And for you to
Work
be
is
able to
just
look
beginning.
back and so chronologically really understand everything, it really does show that you are doing the work outside of your life, because you actually are receiving the messages and transferring it into understanding into your life, which is everything that we want to do when we have these experiences. So
Mm.
showing you that whatever you're doing, I would just continue that process. Definitely.
Thank you. Thanks.
But Hillary,
I
this
do
is,
want to share.
oh, please.
I'm sorry. I do
No,
want to share too, you know,
share more.
my own sister, you know,
Yes.
and I won't talk too much about her, but again, it was actually my birthday present to her, you know,
Oh,
is to
wow.
bring her to a ceremony, because we had been talking about it and she was really interested. And,
I
you know, I
noticed
know her
such a change
history.
in her.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
really had such a positive experience, and um, has really, I think, been able to heal a lot, or start that process through her own ceremonies. So I won't talk much more about that, but that was also such a wonderful experience to do that with her,
Yeah.
and it has really brought us even closer than we were.
It's an amazing experience to share with someone very close to you in your life. And I mean, when your sister showed up the first time, and then when I saw her the second time, I
Mhm.
I just said to her immediately, I'm like, you just seem so much lighter. It's like she dropped 1,000 pounds off her back.
Absolutely.
And I don't,
Yeah.
it's not that I know her very well or anything like that. I just remember when I met her, and then when she walked through
Hmm.
that door that second time, I just felt lightness with her, like incredible amount of lightness. So
Yeah, a lot of shifts, a lot of things have shifted for her. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's
it's
amazing.
great.
Well, Hillary, thank you so much for taking your time out of the day to have this conversation with me. And I'm sure that the right people are going to hear it, and they're going to connect with your story, and it's going to help a lot of people.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
You are very welcome. Thank you.